Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. With Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rumoured to have only £200 million to spend across January and next summer, Manchester United are going to need to not only recruit better, but also recruit in the correct ways. £200 million doesn't actually go that far, does it? And I would say, and this is where we're going to open it up to you as well, get in the comments, how would you spend £200 million if you were Solskjaer, and what positions would you bring in? For me, you've got to get 4 players out of that, and I will. And my priorities are CDM, centre midfield, right winger and an attacker. I would like some of the positions, but with that amount of money, look, and also, can I just say, I know some of you will be saying £200 million isn't that much, but look at what we've spent over the last 4 transfer windows. We've spent nothing in either January and 60 million in each of the summers. So 120 million across the last 4 transfer windows. So £200 million is a bit like Christmas, isn't it? So how would we spend that? And what I also want to do as well is start looking at transfers in the correct way. This might interest you. Man Utd will not feature in any money I spend, even if he's free. Quite simply because he's 34 next May, but also Manchester United need to start recruiting intelligently. The Moneyball system, the system that Liverpool use and other clubs use. Look at a player, look at the risk, look at their age, look at the risk against reward. You look at Man Utd, 34 next May. Yes, he gives us something different, but Man Utd has not played a game for Juventus at all this season, since August, right? Last season, he missed most of the month with a muscle injury. Between April and May, he missed another month with a knee injury. This is a player that we want to buy for Manchester United, apparently, who's not kicked a ball this season for Juventus, who missed 2 months in the last 4 months of the season for Juventus with a knee and a muscle injury, who is 34 in May, and we want to bring him to a league that is the most demanding league physically in the world, and think that's going to work. United need to start moving away from that deal, because I can tell you now, most top clubs wouldn't do that deal. They wouldn't do it because and people will say, well, Man Utd we only need him for 20 minutes. It doesn't matter whether it's 20 minutes or 90 minutes. He does not fit what we need. We need to start looking at injury records. So I'm going to start bringing that into these transfer shows a little bit more as well. Because as I said, Eric Bailly had 3 different injuries the season before we bought him. We bought Dalot injured, and they're both injury prone. So United, there are players out that you can avoid. But look, first of all, Erling Haaland. He is a Manchester United player. He's not a Manchester United player, but he is a Manchester United player target that we have been linked with quite heavily. I spoke about it on the transfer show on Thursday. Yesterday, we had some outlets, developing it further, saying that Ole has sent out a personal scout to go and scout him, which I think is quite interesting because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should know a lot about Erling Haaland already. He coached him at Molde. Now, people would say, well, no, he's sending a scout out because he will have changed as a player. I think United missed the boat on Haaland, really. I mean, this is a player who went a year ago to Salzburg, and if Ole really thought that much about him, then maybe he would have been recommending him to Manchester United. So, I don't know. There's something a little bit weird about this whole scouting of Haaland thing and whether he'll come to United. Personally, I think he is the signing to go for. And, as you can see on the left, we are the favourites to sign him at the moment. A lot of that's probably to do with the paper talk around him. Bayern Munich are apparently interested as well with that Austrian-German connection. And he will be moving off soon. I mean, his record is fantastic this season. He's got, how many goals has he got? He's got 26 goals in 18 games and 6 assists. And he is playing in the Austrian league, of course, but he's also playing in the Champions League. And I think 60 million would get him. And I think 60 million would get him in January. So, look, if you're looking for a striking option, I do like Timo Werner. You know what I would say about Timo Werner is, I think you'd get Timo Werner for less money, and I think Timo Werner is a better player. I really, really do. He's older, that's not the reason. I think Timo Werner is a better player than Haaland, but I think United will be more focused on Haaland. What I would say is, if we do get Man Utd in January, I don't think we'll be going for anybody else. So that's my first 60 million spent of the 200, Haaland. But, as I said, you could swap him out for Werner, and he'd probably be around the same fee. I'd be happy with either. Whether we can get one in January, I don't know, but certainly next summer, I would. At the moment, my 2 priority strikers would be Haaland or Timo Werner, if we can get either. Then I'm going to wander back to Bruno Fernandes, just simply for just simply to highlight that, look, this is a player who's hardly had any injuries over the last few years. He had a leg injury in March, and I think he missed a game or two. He's already this season, he's sort of doing what he did last season as well. He's got 9 goals and 6 assists in 17 games. But we're not interested. The high interest is coming from Tottenham and Real Madrid, and that's why I've put us at odds of 10 to 1 to get him. But he's available for £60 million. And look, this is how I would spend 200 million. How you spend it, we can all read in the comments. But this is how I would spend 200 million. We need an attacking midfielder, and Bruno Fernandes. We know Manchester United know this. They scouted him heavily last season. I don't really understand why they've backed out of it. And maybe it is because they're fearful of another expensive flop. But you know what? We've got a totally different manager. Why should Ole Gunnar Solskjaer be worried about an expensive flop when he hasn't actually been responsible for any of those? So we can't buy a risk signing from abroad anymore because they might flop. It's not Ole's fault. And I think he's so obviously... If you watch Bruno Fernandes, whether you've watched him play for Sporting or you've watched him play for Portugal, he is a physical player. And... You know, he's a player who went over to Italy to sort of learn his trade, to come back to Portugal. He's now in the Portugal national team. He wants to come to the Premier League. And of course, now you're getting Liverpool and Spurs and Real Madrid linked to him. But I still think that Manchester United are mad not to do it. And I certainly would. So that would be my 120 million spent. Haaland and Bruno Fernandes. So that 120 million spent. I've got 2 players in. My next signing would be Emre Can. I am signing a right winger as well. I think you're going to be very interested in who that's going to be. Now, Emre Can is a player. I skirted between three players really. I went between Emre Can, Thomas Partey, Atletico Madrid, because he's still got a 44 million release clause, and Donny van de Beek from Ajax. But van de Beek is more box to box. Whereas I think Manchester United definitely need a specialist centre defensive midfielder, and I think that's why I went for Emre Can. And also he's a little bit cheaper, so I've been a bit realistic with my money. Now I spoke about him on a show the other night, so I don't want to go into too much depth with Emre Can, but basically he's only 25. Yes, he's played for Liverpool, he's played for Juventus, he's got a lot of caps for Germany, and there is now a little bit of interest coming through in the press from Barcelona. So this is no Juventus cast-off. This is a player who's well thought of across Europe. He's still got loads of years left in his career. Now, somebody said to me he's injury-prone. He's not injury-prone. I mean, I've even gone and checked this with Emre Can. He's had an ankle injury and a muscle injury in the last year, where he missed 6 and 7 days. So, he's not had any major injuries at all. I mean... I don't get where this injury-prone thing is with Emre Can, and I think it's definitely something we need to look at, but certainly he wouldn't be classed as injury-prone. I mean, he's only played 4 games for Juventus this season. He's not part of the plans at all, but he's tenacious, he likes to tackle, he can play a pass, he's box-to-box if you need him to be, he can play in a number of positions if you need him to be, but he'd be perfect in that CDM. A physical player, can get around a bit. Exactly what Manchester United need at the moment. And I doubt we'd get him for 15 million, but I think we could get him for 25 million. I put it at 5 to 1 because, again, I just don't think this is the... I think United are after somebody else in black and white, and his name's Sean Longstaff, which amazes me because there is a player that is constantly not playing games, whether it's suspended or injured, and he's hardly ever done anything. But United seem to think he's the key to the kingdom. And I really hope that he is when they do sign him, but... I just don't see it. Even when we played against them, it was younger brother who scored, who was the better player. I didn't see anything in Sean Longstaff that made me think, oh, I can understand why we're scouting him. And as we keep saying, United needs some experienced quality, and he certainly fits the bill with Emre Can. So that's who I would be looking at in the midfield, which leaves me... If we take that into account, I've spent 120 million on Bruno Fernandes and Haaland. I've spent 30 on Emre Can, which is 150 million, and I'll spend 25 on Ziyech, and I've only spent 175 million, and I've solved the problems, which is if you go with Jadon Sancho, probably around 100 million, and you go with James Maddison, probably around 100 million, you've got nothing left. You bought 2 players. And this is what I mean. I think as a fan base, we've got to start switching ourselves on, and the club have got to start switching themselves on as well. Yeah, I'd like Jadon Sancho. Yeah, I'd like James Maddison. But if we've only got around 200 million to spend, we've got James Maddison and Jadon Sancho. We've still got no CDM. We've still got no attacker. We're going to have to be clever in the transfer market. And that's what I've done with the £200 million. And yeah, I would like Jadon Sancho, but to be honest with you, I would like to get a striker, a right winger and 2 midfielders, because they're absolutely essential to Manchester United. So I've gone for Ziyech, and interestingly about Ziyech, he does have a little bit of an injury record over the last season. He's had 4 injuries last season. 1 was hamstring, 2 was a calf, 1 was a torn collateral ligament, but none of them were major injuries that kept him out for ages and ages. But he's had a few little knocks, and I wondered if that was why teams didn't go for him in the summer. I don't know, because I don't understand it. Only 26. Already this season, he has got... what has he got? I wrote this down somewhere. Ziyech has got 6 goals, 15 assists in 20 games. 15 assists in 20 games and 6 goals as well. And we saw, if you watched him against Chelsea, against the Premier League opposition, he was still running the game. He was probably the best player in both games against Chelsea. So, plays off the right wing, absolutely perfect for United. And yeah, I like Jadon Sancho, of course I do, but this is a player who can come in, and I think he'd be like a little bit like Antonio Valencia when he came in. Totally different player to Antonio Valencia, but a real grafter, a real workhorse who is talented as well. And I think that, and experienced, would be perfect for Manchester United at 25 million. So for me, I really do like the look of like the look of Ziyech, and I don't. Every time I see him, I'm baffled why nobody's gone for him. Interest from Tottenham, as it says there. No interest from Manchester United. So I've put him out at 10-1 like Bruno Fernandes, because these are just players that I would go for. And I'm sure some of you would agree. I'm sure some of you will have different players. But we do need a centre defensive midfielder, a centre midfielder, a more box-to-box midfielder, sorry, a right winger, and an attacker. And we're not going to spend any more than £200 million. So I've spent 175 million on Ziyech, on Emre Can, on Haaland, and on Bruno Fernandes. 175 million, and you get all those 4 positions solved. If you want to start talking Sancho and Maddison, you're only getting 2 players out of 200 million. So this is what I mean. As I said a few minutes ago, we do need to be a little bit more careful. And also, I mean, if you look at those players I've bought, you've got the young player in Haaland. There's a lot of people concerned about Erling Haaland coming to Manchester United and being... Martial's going to have to play on the wing. Greenwood will end up not getting any game time. And I'm like, we've got 3 forwards. We've got Rashford, who actually doesn't play well down the middle. We've got Greenwood, and we've got Martial. Well, Rashford's not very good down the middle. So if Martial gets injured, we're screwed. Martial can play off the left, and Rashford can play off the front or right. Greenwood can play any position. So bringing Haaland in would be... You need 4 strikers in this game, because if Martial picks up another injury, we're playing Rashford up front or Greenwood up front, and I don't think they're really ready to do that. So Haaland, to me, would be perfect. And when you take into account injuries, rotation, you need 4 players. You need 4 strikers. So I think that I wouldn't have a problem with this at all. And I think the great thing about Erling Haaland is he's only 19. So, you know, I don't think you could say to Erling Haaland, coming from Salzburg, yeah, you're playing every week as my number 9 for Manchester United. It will be, you'll get your opportunities, and if you take them, you'll play, but there's going to be rotation, you know, and that's the way it's going to be. And we might want to play 2 up front sometimes. So I've seen a lot of people on social media moaning about this. We don't want Haaland, it'll impact on Martial and Greenwood. And I'm like, what sort of football world do we live in now then? Because I remember the team from '99 and we had 4 strikers. And we've done that a lot, because you need it, because you've always got somebody who's got a knock or needs a rest or is injured. Different form. I think the issue it would be if you went and bought somebody like Lewandowski. That would be a problem, because Lewandowski is arguably the best striker in the world. You bring him into Manchester United, he's going to want to play every week. So straight away, where does Martial go? Does he go to the left? Rashford gets dropped. Where's Greenwood's chance? I understand that. But a young, up-and-coming striker would be absolutely perfect for United. So that's how I would spend 200 million, if that's what United have got. Now, my concerns are that we probably haven't even got 200 million. When have we spent that? We haven't done that for a few years. So we might not even be able to do that. But it's all right talking about the future. It's we're always talking about progression, but we need to get those 4 players in ASAP. We need another striker, we need a right winger, and we need a CDM and a normal midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder. And we need them yesterday. We need them now. So the club have got to go and do it. That's how you spend 175 million. Ziyech, Ajax have already said they'll let him go for around 30. Emre Can will go for around 30. Bruno Fernandes is available for around 60. And I don't think Salzburg will want any more than 60 million for a player that, you know, is playing in the Austrian league. They might demand a little bit more, but I don't think they'll get any more than 60 million. So there you go. That's how I would do it. And yeah, there is no Jadon Sancho. And yeah, there is no James Maddison. But for me, They're not there because I would rather get the 4 players in that we need than get 2 players in that we need. And I like James Maddison and I like Jadon Sancho, but they're going to cost massive money that if we spend that money, we will go into next season going, we're really happy with the summer we've had. We've got Jadon and we've got James. We still haven't got the CDM and we haven't got another striker, but we're happy with what we've done. And we've just done that last summer. And we need to start looking at the issues in that squad and solving them, because that's when the team will get better. And now, you know, then in 2 years' time, when we've got a more balanced squad with depth, then you can start getting your 1 or 2 stars a summer. But at the moment, we can't do that. I think we've got to spend more cleverly and get the players in that we need. No point having Jadon Sancho and James Maddison if you haven't got a CDM. We need that position 100%. And we need another striker as well, because we do. We get a couple of injuries, and Ollie's talking about injuries in the press conference, and he shouldn't be doing that. 1 or 2 injuries should not be enough for Manchester United to be on their knees. And I know we've got a lot of injuries at the moment, but the main injuries are Martial and Pogba. They absolutely destroyed us because we've got no depth up front and no depth in the midfield, and that's what we need to do. So get your comments in below how you will do it. How would you spend 200 million? What positions would you spend it on? Smash a like on the video, and remember, this is a record video today on this Saturday, because the live 8 o'clock show will be on That's Football, where I am live now. I'm doing a full day stream raising money for cancer awareness, and you can join me on Mark Goldbridge That's Football right now, where I'll be doing the 8 o'clock United Stand show, and I'm live all day. So join us there and help us raise some money for that. Thanks everyone for watching. Get your comments in below. Looking forward to reading some of those. In fact, what I will do is I'm going to start reading some of these comments out on the 24-hour stream, because that'll fill a bit of time up as well. Thanks for watching. See you over there.